Coronation Street has dropped another intriguing clue that could finally shed light on what happened to Cassie Plummer. The troubled character mysteriously vanished earlier this week after a dramatic confrontation with her bitter rival, Ross Wilkes. During Monday's episode, Cassie came to the painful realization that her attempts to expose Ross had pushed the people closest to her away. With her efforts seemingly unsuccessful, she said goodbye to her grandchildren and revealed that she had secured a cleaning job aboard a cruise ship. Viewers later watched as Cassie left with Ross in his car, with the pair engaging in one final tense exchange during the journey. Ross subsequently returned to the street alone and acted as though he had no idea where Cassie had gone. However, he was later seen secretly taking out the family photograph that Fizz Dobbs had previously given to her mother-in-law. Since Cassie's disappearance, Ross has offered several different explanations about what happened to her. He eventually claimed that he had taken her to the railway station. Next week, Fizz's doubts about Ross continue to grow when Hope discovers the family photograph among his belongings. In a newly released spoiler clip for Thursday's episode, Ross appears to settle comfortably into the Dobbs household now that Cassie is no longer around. Tyrone is pleased to have the chance to spend time with his father, although Hope is much more interested in meeting up with her friends. Trying to appear like the caring grandfather, Ross offers Hope some money and tells her to take a 10-pound note from his wallet. However, she unexpectedly pulls out the photograph, prompting Fizz to immediately recognize it as Cassie's. "I gave that to her just before she left," Fizz says suspiciously. Ross quickly invents an explanation, claiming that Cassie threw the photograph at him as she got out of the car. Tyrone is taken aback when he learns that Ross actually saw Cassie before she disappeared. Ross maintains that he drove her to the station and claims that she told him she had finally had enough of everyone. A hurt Tyrone responds by admitting that the feeling was mutual. Despite Ross's explanation, Fizz remains deeply suspicious. His account of Cassie's departure has repeatedly changed, while Cassie had already warned Fizz about him shortly before she vanished. With more evidence beginning to point towards Ross, could Fizz finally uncover what really happened to Cassie and discover where she has gone? Coronation Street lines up unexpected Todd and Glenda showdown as Frances Barber's character arrives. Todd's behavior is becoming increasingly troubling. Coronation Street is set to see Todd Grimshaw and Glenda Shuttleworth involved in a bitter clash next week, as Todd's increasingly selfish and alcohol-fueled behavior pushes their friendship towards breaking point. The unexpected conflict comes at the same time as mysterious newcomer Celeste, played by Frances Barber, makes her presence known in Weatherfield while attempting to organize a funeral. However, her arrival inadvertently creates a major rift between Todd and Glenda, potentially leaving Todd isolated from those closest to him. Todd and Glenda's friendship has completely fallen apart, explains our Corrie source. He's been using alcohol to cope with everything that has happened over the past year, but Glenda ends up suffering because of his behavior. What he does to her won't be easy for her to forgive. Todd returns from Thailand in high spirits and immediately begins planning more nights out with his friends. However, George Shuttleworth and Christina Boyd are also preparing for their trip to Somerset, when Todd ruins their excitement by revealing that Christina has once again been spending recklessly. Later in the week, Todd and Glenda encounter a mysterious woman outside number 7. The stranger introduces herself as Celeste. With Dev and Bernie away from home, Celeste is disappointed and leaves. However, Todd later comes across her again while he is closing the undertakers for the evening. She makes an unusual request, asking him to organize a funeral, her own. Celeste has been told she has just 6 weeks left to live, our source continues. She and Todd head over to the Rovers, where they discuss her plans for a Dolly Parton-inspired funeral over a few drinks. At the pub, Glenda quickly becomes attracted to Celeste's driver, Fraser. She is delighted when Fraser gives her his phone number and agrees to meet her for a date. Todd later heads out for another drinking session on Canal Street with Christina. By the following day, Christina has told Mary and Glenda just how excessive Todd's drinking has become. Glenda decides that she has had enough and warns Todd that unless he changes his ways, he could soon find himself completely without friends. Her comments hit a nerve, leaving Todd furious that Glenda appears to be deliberately making him feel ashamed. Later, Celeste visits Todd at the Undertaker's and delivers a surprising piece of information. She reveals that Fraser is gay, meaning Glenda's growing attraction to him could end in heartbreak. Rather than feeling sympathetic towards Glenda, Todd sees an opportunity to get even. Inspired by the revelation, he begins plotting a cruel scheme designed to embarrass his love-struck friend. Could Glenda's warning actually come true, with Todd on the verge of losing everyone around him? Or will his attempt to humiliate Glenda ultimately expose just how badly he needs help? Coronation Street's Liam McCain admits he is staying off social media amid controversial storyline. Coronation Street actor Liam McCain has revealed that he is trying to avoid social media while his controversial non-fatal strangulation storyline unfolds on screen. Coronation Street star Liam McCain has opened up about the public reaction to his current storyline, admitting that he has been making an effort to stay off social media as the controversial plot continues. The 19-year-old actor plays Dylan Wilson in the world's longest-running television soap, and is currently at the heart of a storyline involving his girlfriend, Betsy Swain. The plot saw Betsy suffer a stroke after Dylan choked her during consensual sex, with the storyline exploring the serious issue of non-fatal strangulation and its potential legal consequences. Betsy's mother, D.S. Lisa Swain, has since become determined to make sure Dylan is held accountable for what happened. Under UK law, non-fatal strangulation can amount to a criminal offense when it causes injury. Despite being aware that the storyline has sparked considerable discussion among viewers, Liam admitted that he does not spend much time reading online reactions. He also confessed that he can feel nervous about watching his own performances back. Discussing the response to the storyline, Liam said, "To be honest, I try to stay off social media, and I get a bit scared watching my own work back. But I know the amount of conversation this has started is a massive wake-up call. It's got people talking. You see comments where someone says, 'This would never happen,' and someone else replies, 'Well, actually, yes it does.'" The actor also highlighted the differences between generations when it comes to attitudes towards the issue. "The generational difference in the response has been fascinating. I didn't realize how widespread this issue was among young people," he explained. "Our research with IFAS showed that there's statistics showing how huge this trend is within the 16 to 24 age group. Dylan and Betsy are right in the middle of that demographic, which made them the right characters to deliver this message." Dylan, the son of Sean Tully Anthony Cotton, is expected to face an increasingly difficult time as the storyline progresses, with more Weatherfield residents beginning to discuss his behavior and what happened to Betsy. While Dylan's eventual fate remains unclear, Liam explained that the creative team wanted to ensure the storyline did not completely change his character. "Because there was such an innocence to Dylan in this scenario, we didn't want to change who he is at his core. There was absolutely no malice or intent to hurt Betsy. In fact, hurting her is his absolute biggest fear," he said. "Because he still has that good moral compass, we didn't need to prep by altering his character. Instead, we just went script to script to see how it would naturally unfold." One of the most heartbreaking elements of the story comes when Dylan initially visits Betsy in hospital, without understanding that his actions were responsible for her stroke. It is only when the truth finally becomes clear that Dylan's entire world begins to collapse, although he initially struggles to accept what has happened. Coronation Street airs on ITV1 at 8:30 p.m. on weeknights, with episodes also available to stream on ITVX.